Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is the real reason the Brooklyn Nets are beginning to finally dominate. So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also be on the lookout for our Dreamerspro Premium community, and also be on the lookout for Dreamerspro.com, which will be on the way subsequently. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. So it's been a few days since I've spoken about the Brooklyn Nets. So I said, let me talk about them, right? Some people have felt, listen, this guy doesn't like the Nets. This guy's hating on the Nets. I've just said, listen, the Nets are extremely talented on the offensive side of the floor. Where they have problems and continue to have problems is their defense. But today, that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on other things. So y'all know that the Brooklyn Nets have had a roller coaster season. I think they probably had the most dramatic season or drama-packed season of all the teams in the NBA this year. Starting off with the initial hype of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, we were all clamoring, to see how these two guys were going to play. How was Kevin Durant going to look after his injury? After missing over a year of basketball with his Achilles tendon. He came out, he's balling, he's playing out of his mind, super efficient. He was playing pretty well. Although early in the season, him and Kyrie were playing well together. They were winning some games. Although I thought Kyrie Irving was a bit selfish at the end of some of these games, the way he was playing. And I didn't like the way that he was playing early in the games, early on in the season. And then the drama with Kyrie Irving completely going AWOL, just went incognito, just stopped showing up to work. Didn't inform the upper management of the team that he wasn't going to be there. And then, text his teammates. Then some people were speculating whether or not does he want to play basketball again or all of these different things. Then he came back and then he kept playing. And then in that whole panic, the Brooklyn Nets were able to pull off this trade where they traded a lot of their pieces away to get James Harden. And the moment they made that trade, then, it started. Everybody started thinking, listen, this team went from being one of the contenders in the Eastern Conference to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals to now going to the finals and possibly win it all. Some people already pegged them to be the team to win the NBA championship, like Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith recently said, listen, if Anthony Davis is not 100% healthy or at least 85% healthy, he believes that the Brooklyn Nets are going to win the title, and he doesn't believe that the Lakers are going to come out of the Western Conference. So Stephen Smith is that he's that convicted on the fact that he believes that the Brooklyn Nets are just going to win it all because of their offense. Now, since the addition of James Harden, they've gotten worse on defense, right? They're one of the worst teams in the NBA on defense, and their defense has just been horrendous. To be quite honest with you, currently the Brooklyn Nets are ranked number 28 in the NBA in their defensive ranking. Now, some people can say, listen, that's an improvement because about a week or so ago they were ranked number 29. So maybe they're improving on the defensive end of the floor. But they've also had some major challenges, like this issue with COVID. It's caused Kevin Durant to miss a number of games, man. Kevin Durant has missed a number of games because of COVID tracing, and it's affecting the team because, to be honest and to be fair, what the Brooklyn Nets need is they need reps. They need these guys to play games together. It was the issue that the Clippers had last season. They had a lot of talent, had a lot of great pieces, but the problem was they didn't play enough games together because guys were always injured. This was a major issue last season. If it wasn't Paul George in one case, it was Patrick Beverley. If it wasn't Patrick Beverley, it was Kawhi Leonard sitting out games. So there was so many issues on it with the Clippers last season, and they needed some reps. Guys needed to play more games together, practice together. And the Brooklyn Nets have not been able to practice together because of, COVID and trying to get rest, but also given the fact that now Kevin Durant is missing so many games. And listen, this thing about COVID tracing and all of these different things, listen, I hope it's not something that comes back to bite the NBA later on in the season, especially in the playoffs, because it would be crazy for them to have things like this where they say, okay, they're keeping guys out for COVID tracing. That would be absurd. I don't know if they're going to go into a bubble for the playoffs to ensure that something like that doesn't happen. But given the fact that fans are starting to come back, if I saw the last Utah Jazz game between them and the Philadelphia 76ers, and in that game, there were about 3,000 fans in attendance. So I hope that's not an issue. Now, the Brooklyn Nets have recently won 4 games in a row, right? 4 games in a row, which has been really, really impressive. And I had to go back and understand, okay, how are they winning these games? And it turns out the reason that they're winning these games, or the reason that they won these last 4 games rather, is that they've just simply been outscoring everybody in the universe. Think about it. In 3 out of the last 4 games, they've scored at least 125 points in all of those games, right? Another reason for this is because James Harden has been scoring more points. The last game that they played in, James Harden scored 38 points. James Harden over these last 4 games is averaging about 26 points per game, right? His regular season average is around 24.4 points per game. So James Harden, has been increasing his productivity on the offensive side of the floor. That's been one major reason. And their offense has just been clicking, right? The Brooklyn Nets, as we speak, are the #1 scoring team in the NBA, scoring 121.7 points per game. If I go and look at the 3-point shooting, which I should have here, the Brooklyn Nets 3-point shooting. Yes, the Brooklyn Nets, if we look at 3-point shooting, they're the #2 team in the NBA behind the Los Angeles Clippers in 3-point shooting. They're shooting 40.7% from the 3. They're the #1 team in the NBA as far as field goal percentage. They're leading the league. Think about this. The Brooklyn Nets are leading the league they're shooting 50.2% from the field, right? It's not like as if they have a Shaq on the team. It's not like as if they have an Anthony Davis on the team, or they have like a Dwight Howard, these guys who shoot a lot of high percentages going to the basket, or LeBron James, or one of these guys. The Brooklyn Nets have a bunch of guys that drive and hit jump shots, and they're the #1 team in the NBA when it comes to field goal percentage. They're also one of the top teams in the NBA in free throw percentage. So if you get into a close game with this team, you can't foul them. And how do we know this? Because we saw the game when they played against the Los Angeles Clippers. That game, first of all, their 3 stars just went ballistic in the last 2 minutes of the game. It was just insane. Like, KD got hot, then James Harden got hot, and then Kyrie Irving was pulling up from the locker room and hitting threes. It was just insane. And then when you put them at the foul line, all of these guys are going to shoot like 90% from the free throw line. If I look at Kyrie Irving's numbers from the free throw line this season, he's shooting 92% from the free throw line. Let me see if I can pull up Kevin Durant's numbers and just look at his free throw shooting percentage this season. Okay, Kevin Durant this season, he is shooting 87% from the free throw line. If you go look at James Harden, what is he shooting from the free throw line? 90% from the free throw line. So if you put these guys in a close game at the free throw, they're going to kill you, right? And long story short, the reason why this team is doing so well is because their offense is carrying them. Simple and plain. Now, they're going to have some pretty good tests coming up this week because they're going to be playing against the Los Angeles Lakers, who are a defensive team. They play defense, and they're very good at that. However, the Lakers are going to be shorthanded, not playing with Anthony Davis. So I'm going to be interested to see if they'll continue to score at the rate that they're scoring at when they play against the Los Angeles Lakers. Another thing is that they're going to be playing against the Clippers. Now, the Clippers, the last time they played the Clippers, it was a high-scoring affair. They scored 124 to the Clippers 120. So it was a high-scoring game. If they get into a shootout, then I'm going to give the Nets the edge. And also, the Clippers have been missing a lot of their starters. They're going to be playing tonight, and they're going to be without Nicholas Batum, and Paul George. I think Patrick Beverley is going to be back. Kawhi Leonard is questionable because of a contusion that he has in his leg. So if the Clippers are going to be missing some stars, then who's going to hold anything against them that they lost that game? So it's conceivable that the Nets could possibly win the next 2 games if their offense is clicking and they're able to get Kevin Durant back, who has been in and out of the lineup. But Kyrie Irving has also been out of the lineup as well for rest. So for me, I think this is the reason why the Brooklyn Nets are clicking right now and they're beginning to dominate, is because their offense is just really taking off and James Harden is really beginning to do his thing on the court. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think that the Brooklyn Nets are beginning to take off, or do you think that, listen, given the fact that their defense is still questionable, they may come back down to earth and they may lose some games, especially the teams that they're not supposed to lose to? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. And also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the next video that we have coming up. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.